shots were fired at about 10 this morning.
The cold-blooded murder of Chris Hani has sent shock waves throughout the country and the world. Our grief and anger is tearing us apart.
Millions of South Africans, black and white, through the country have over the past days demonstrated their grief and anger at this horrendous deed.
Our main concern is the security in town, because there are right-wing elements there that may also retaliate.
A white man full of prejudice and hate came to our country and committed a deed so foul that our whole nation now teeters on the brink of disaster. A white woman of Afrikaner origin risked her life so that we may know and bring to justice this assassin.
It is a time to cry. I saw Chris Hani dead.
I think the origin of a lot of preconceptions were obviously the way the media dealt with the image of Chris Hani. And certainly from a military point of view, he was our opponent. So the image of a terrorist was quite firmly planted, a ruthless man who was prepared to go to any length to achieve his aims. And I think a lot of people had that sort of preconceived idea of that was Chris Hani, that was his image.
Comrade Chief of Staff, gentlemen in red waiting for the next order. It is!
The reason we talk about these two different Chris Hanis is because of the power of propaganda over our perception of who he is and what he represented, more than we're talking about two different figures. All we are talking about is a figure who grew in stature to be the kind of extremely remarkable leader loved by millions at the time of his death.
I have the honor to congratulate the new leadership.
Chris Hani's popularity was confirmed by the delegates at the 1991 elections for the ANC's national executive.
Top of the poll, and with 1,858 votes, Chris Hani.
When one talks about leaders, political leaders, and very often communist leaders, this monolithic block of perfection is presented. And that's very unlike Chris, and he would hate to be presented in that way. It's precisely what made him an effective revolutionary. One, he would be passionate about his beliefs, but if you proved, and often with difficulty, that he was wrong on a particular issue, he would accept that. He didn't expect himself to be perfect.
We have always lived the ANC in our camps. We have dreamt about the ANC. There was no other life for us except the African National Congress. Let us make it a strong organization. Let us build our party, because it is the alliance of the ANC and the party which made this army into what it is.
An active communist for 30 years, Chris Hani's membership was made public for the first time at the relaunch of the party in 1991.
I introduce to you Comrade Chris Hani.
The fact that Comrade Joe Slovo, decided not to stand for elections for the position of General Secretary before our National Congress made us to look round to find a suitable comrade who will take over the position of General Secretary.
And thereafter, after the
When Chris Hani was approached to stand for the post, he refused the candidacy because of his position as Chief of Staff of Umkhonto weSizwe, MK, the military wing of the ANC.
and to forward those.
At the Congress of the South African Communist Party, insistence from the delegates that he accept the nomination prompted Nelson Mandela to release him of his duties.
The results of the elections for the Central Committee, national officers, General Secretary Chris Hani.
Unlike a few other communists who then saw the fleshpots of power looming with the ANC being the main vehicle, Chris did not allow that to influence his commitment and his choice. And I think perhaps the greatest thing one can say about him is that being aware that he would have to give up his position as Chief of Staff of MK, being aware that he would have to give up his position as a member of the working committee of the ANC, and we must remember he got top votes at the conference during the election, he nevertheless chose to commit himself to the party. And I think that required an enormous step, both at the personal and political level. And I think it's difficult to think of a greater compliment that one can pay a political leader than the one I am paying to him, that he actually, despite an enormous personal loss for people who might be ambitious, he chose to take the path of his commitment rather than ambition.